Hello everybody, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi. This is Pooja Singh. Today we are here to discuss that why you should be choosing mathematics optional as your optional subject. Yes, and for that we have our esteemed faculty member Bhavna ma'am with us today. She's my personal favorite. She has done her masters from IIT Delhi and has 22 years of teaching experience including in JMC and St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. Yes, ma'am, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Pooja.
Ma'am, it's an honor, first of all. Ma'am, first I would like to start with, please tell us your journey in this field of mathematics as you hold such great experience in teaching. You have done your masters from IIT Delhi. Please shed some light on that.
So, Pooja, very early in my college days, I realized that there's a dearth of good teaching when it comes to maths. Starting from school level, in fact, there are a lot of people you'll come across who have this phobia for maths,
True.
And as my professor used to say, there are no bad students, only bad teachers.
True.
That made me think that what is so wrong with teaching subject like mathematics, and I realized that either there is a lot of spoon feeding, which is the teacher doing everything for you, or there is not enough focus on the core fundamentals. Both of these problem areas have to be catered to if you want the student to do well in the subject. So, very early on in my college days, I realized that I want to teach. And to, of course, did my master's from IIT Delhi. And even though from IIT, when you do it, the placements for engineering, software engineering kind of jobs, but teaching has been my first and only passion. So I've taught in Delhi University for about 7-8 years, which gave me a lot of experience of dealing with undergraduate students. And from very early on, I realized that if you do actually help empower the students, there is no limit to how well they can do in the subject. So maths, very commonly people say, is very scoring, but it's only scoring if you understand the core fundamentals.
Definitely.
So it's been honestly speaking, I don't know how 22 years have passed doing the same, but I can see how it has changed, the profile and how students, we have a lot of information now even on internet, and maths is a static syllabus. So you have to inculcate how students can do it themselves rather than you do it for them. So it's a very interesting job, I would say, interacting with youngsters and making sure that you're able to get through them. It has been a very fulfilling experience, I would say.
Definitely, ma'am. I think you love mathematics and more you love is teaching.
Yes, I so to be able to communicate what you know, I think that is interesting. So a lot of times impromptu, a lot of examples have to be given, and suddenly you see the smile on the face of students, and you're like, yeah, now you have made a mark, and so it is interesting. I obviously get also a nice set of students, hardworking and dedicated. These are the qualities that you need to do well in any subject, but maths specifically. And yeah, I do love my job a lot. Yes,
Definitely, ma'am. Ma'am, coming to the discussion of optional, how important it is to choose the right optional in the CSC journey?
So Pooja, I would like to tell you that it's been about 8, 9, 10 years that I've been into UPSC. Before that, I was dealing with college students, and there we only had electives. 1 or 2 subjects people can opt for. So they go into computer programming or physics or something else. Here it's called an optional because obviously students have an option of choosing what they want. But I would like to coin a better word for it. There is general studies and there is what you specialize in. So your optional is what you are specializing in.
Okay.
It is like when you have to specialize in something, you have to know it in depth. To be able to understand the depth of a subject, you need to have a passion for the subject, and you need to have core knowledge, of course. How important it is what decides the rank. It is a make or break actually for this, because GS generally almost everyone gets an average kind of scores.
True.
But with your optional, you can actually get a rank, improve your rank, and it is what you're specializing in. So it makes a mark in the interview also, if you know your subject really well. So I think this is the only area where students have a choice. GS, everybody, compulsory syllabus, CSAT, prelims, everything. So it has to be done with a lot of caution. It has to be done with a lot of understanding. It has to be an informed decision, because you have to stay with that and make sure that you that you the qualities of the optional that you go for, you
Hmm.
actually utilize it to the fullest. So it plays a pivotal role in your journey of UPSC for sure.
Totally, ma'am. Ma'am, we know this is a technical subject. We do need a background in this before we choose mathematics as an optional subject.
Yes.
Ma'am, what are the things one should keep in mind before they choose mathematics as the optional subject? And one more thing, like while we choose our optional, what are the key points then one should keep in mind?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So, like I said, Pooja, a lot of students you would see they're from science background, but they would take up a humanities subject. Sometimes what you get to hear from students is it's easy, it's doing well, topper this year is from this optional, and all these things are redundant. Specifically talking about maths, you are absolutely right. You need some background. Some background, the prerequisite is in college, you must have had a few subjects related to maths.
Okay.
Even if you've had one or two papers, it's fine. So anyone from an engineering background, anyone who's done BA with maths, BSc with maths,
Okay.
Eco with maths, BCom with maths. So I get a lot of students who are from science background, also commerce and humanities. So mathematics, if you remember, even at school level, after 10th when they choose the stream, maths is there in science, of course, but it's
Yes,
also
ma'am.
there in commerce, it's also there in humanities.
Yes, ma'am.
So actually it is available to one and all. The major component that has to be present in a student before he elects any subject, and maths in particular, is interest and passion.
Okay.
So you'll have to work hard in your optional. You have to work hard in this journey. UPSC is not easy, but
Yes.
to be able to work hard for a long period of time, you need to have core interest. You have to have the dedication that is required. So the prerequisite, I would say, is some amount of maths in college. It shouldn't be that after 12th you haven't seen maths and then you're interested in it or something, because you need that bridge, So in your college, whether it's a 3-year graduation or a 4-year graduation, some amount of maths if you've done any branch, it is irrespective. But you should have had some sort of information, but a lot of interest in mathematics. So that is non-negotiable.
Definitely. Interest has to be there. And when you are here, like one step ahead of everybody, when everybody is choosing other GA subjects as the optional, if you are thinking about choosing mathematics as your optional, I think you already win. And you have already made your choice. You just need to confirm it.
Yes. So maths, I would like to just say that generally also people say it's very scoring. And so there are two kind of point of views you hear. Either people are petrified of maths. You tell them maths and they're like, what? And or it is people who are like, oh, we can get very easily your score. None of these point of views are true. You don't have to be petrified of the subject. Because of your school or college or whatever experience, you may not sort of really understand how nice it is or how comfortable you can become in the subject. But it's also that it's not scoring for everybody.
True.
You have to have so accuracy and presentation, both the things are important. Like in GS, here also answer writing is very important, because how you present your answers to the examiner. See, Pooja, what happens that you are not present in front of the examiner with your sheet.
True.
So there is no face-to-face interaction that is happening. This answer sheet that you have acts like an interface between you and the examiner.
Yeah.
So you have to talk to the examiner through your
Answers.
They cannot be, so some people who don't like maths say it's a dry subject, or it's not dry at all. You have to explain why you're doing something, what is aiding you to do it, how is it that you're reaching towards an answer. So it has to be an interactive kind of this thing. So I would definitely say that maths is interesting and it's a good optional, but it's neither tough nor is it easy. It is just the balance. You need the right tools, I would say, to do well in this.
Okay, ma'am, talking about the syllabus of this mathematics optional, what do we exactly cover in this?
Okay, so Pooja, actually, if you look at the syllabus, I can literally count on my fingertips, and there are just 13 topics. But having said that, it covers the undergraduate level of maths.
Okay.
So a student who's just cleared class 12th, who comes into a first year college, is first year, second year, third year syllabus. That is what you have to do here. It takes me about 7 months to finish the syllabus, and it is, like I said, undergraduate level. So it has basics like algebra, analysis,
Hmm.
it has geometry, it has vector analysis,
Hmm.
OD, PD, and there are also some applications of maths in form of physics that is there in the syllabus.
Hmm.
So syllabus is not humongous, I would say,
Hmm.
but to put it shortly, it is 3 years of college put together
Put
in a
together.
way. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's an interesting combination of theory and application. So it's
Hmm.
not totally theoretical. It is not totally just solve kind of question. So there are theorems also. There are applications also.
Hmm.
It's, I would say, a very interesting mix of the topics that one can do in mathematics. Yes.
Okay. While we're looking into the syllabus, I heard the algebra. The abstract algebra, or we like say the modern algebra,
Yes.
it is said to be the toughest part.
Yeah.
Like students think like that.
Yes.
So what would you say about that?
I've also heard this a lot over the past so many years. They're like,
Hmm.
as though they know everything else. So they say modern algebra is very
Hmm.
tough. So I'm like,
Hmm.
what is easy, first of all? But
True.
having said that, I would like to tell you and clarify
Hmm.
that abstract algebra is also known as queen of maths.
Okay.
Now, if something is queen of maths, you have to understand it, experience it. It's a very elegant subject.
Hmm.
I also can see why students find it tough, because it has to be taught in a very refined and a fine manner.
Hmm.
You cannot just keep writing down the proofs on the board and students copy it. That is not how they learn.
Hmm.
You have to make sure that the answers come from the students. How will
Hmm.
that happen?
Hmm.
So, first a few classes of algebra, you have to only focus on definitions
Hmm.
and examples and encourage them to write proofs themselves.
Hmm.
Abstract algebra also has a lot of theoretical aspects, you know.
Okay.
And students are more like, when they think of maths, they think of solve, find the answer, get the
Hmm.
answer.
Hmm.
This is the abstract algebra gives you the reasons why answers are possible.
Okay.
So it forms the backbone of almost every other branch of mathematics.
Great.
So it is very interesting.
Hmm.
It's not tough at all,
Hmm.
but it has to be understood well,
Hmm.
and practice has to be done.
Hmm.
And by practice, I don't mean doing a lot of questions, but inculcating the art of writing theorems and proofs yourself.
Hmm.
Understanding why theorems are important. Why are they required to do well in applications? So
Hmm.
from students' point of view, they say this is theory, this is application. I would say no, applications of theory. So you
Hmm.
have to learn the theory first, right?
Hmm.
So it is very elegant and not tough at all. Students, I would say, are not taught in the manner that they can really appreciate the beauty of the subject. It is quite beautiful, one of my favorites. So I mean, I can go on and on about it, but it is
Truly.
not tough at all. I can assure you that
Okay.
with the correct guidance and with the correct set of tools,
Hmm.
you can definitely master it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's totally like our perception, how we see the subjects. Nothing is tough.
Yes,
Basically.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Ma'am, one more thing. Like, what should be the approach for mathematics optional? Like, which is different from other optional subjects?
So Pooja, like I have seen in my journey of teaching UPSC students, that someone who say does not have a particular background, so
Hmm.
an engineering student who takes up a humanities subject,
Hmm.
so they learn everything from the scratch and then develop it. How maths is different is
Hmm.
all these words that we are talking about right now, it's not
Hmm.
like people are not aware of this.
True.
The actual audience who's interested in taking up maths
Hmm.
would have heard of differentiation,
Hmm.
integration. Not just heard, they would have done well, most likely, and
Definitely.
they're interested in this subject.
Hmm.
So it's not that they're unaware of the syllabus.
Hmm.
It's just that they don't understand the depth of it, how much it has to be done.
Hmm.
And so the difference is that I feel that a subject like maths cannot be taught fully.
Hmm.
You have to empower the students to do it themselves.
Okay.
So my classes, or any classes in mathematics, have to be very interactive.
Hmm.
I cannot lecture for 2.5 hours in maths.
True. True.
You have to do the work for me, show me the calculations. So I say this very commonly in my class, that I have so many live calculators sitting. So it's not the
Hmm.
calculation aspect
True.
that you have come here for.
Hmm.
You come for correct concepts.
Hmm.
What are the core fundamentals? So if you focus on that and then do a lot of revision, practice answer solving at home, then come back if there is a doubt. So it's like a circle that we have to do. You learn the concepts, you learn how to do the questions, you go back home, do more questions, come back if there is any doubt, and let's see how it was different from the questions that we were doing. So one gets familiar with the similarities and the differences, and that is how I think. So compared to other subjects, there is a lot of doing it yourself that students have to do. So for that, regular worksheets and regular tutorial sheets have to be given. And you have to empower them basically, rather than do it for them. You know, you have to make them, how do you think of this? Why should you think in this manner? That is very, very important.
I think if this teaching strategy would have been followed through our school days, there would be no so-called maths phobia. Like,
Pooja, you have stolen this is my wish, that if it could be redone, because maths is not, I don't know if you would appreciate what I'm going to say, but there was a time when I used to say that I'll do any subject but not maths, and this is till class 8th. I used to 6th, 7th, 8th, I think I used to be like, what is this? Why are we doing this? Why not? And then, you know, one good teacher changes your perception completely.
Definitely.
So maths is not taught the way it is supposed to be.
True.
It requires a lot of patience, it requires a lot of dedication, it requires a lot of, I can't do it for you, you do it, get stuck, it's okay. It's like riding a bicycle. You cannot teach it to me orally, right? You will have to make me sit on it, and then I'll fall.
Yes.
And then I'll have to pick myself up and then sit again and try again. So it's about trial till you succeed. And that is, I think, missing at all levels. Even in college, when they say theorems, generally, you know, students would say, oh, theorems have to be crammed. I assure you, if it was about cramming, I wouldn't be doing well in it. I don't even remember what is the thing that I was thinking about. I mean, I'm quite a forgetful kind of a person. So maths, the beauty is that if your sound basics and logic is in place, there is no cramming at all.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's just about how it is to be taught and how it is to be studied. Both the things have to be in. So don't expect a lot of spoon feeding, but expect a lot of concept building. That is very, very crucial.
Okay. That is truly inspiring. Ma'am, one more thing, like talking about good answers. What are good answers in mathematics optional?
So Pooja, like in general, when you write, say a mains answer, any other optional, or even when you're writing an essay, we divide the answer into an opening, then the body, and then the conclusion. Well, maths also is like that.
Okay.
They say, they frame a question, find, say, eigenvalues and eigenvectors of this matrix. Can you apply this knowledge to find the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, say, of this operator? You have to first look at why this question is being asked, how you're going to write it. So you have to write the answers in steps.
Okay.
There has to be what is the demand of the question. So any question that you do has to begin with what is given. You have to write it in short. Like you have to compress from the question and write down what is given.
Okay.
Then you have to write down what you have to show. Then how are you going to show it?
Okay.
You're going to write steps. So there is step 1, let us now find this. Step 2, it's like navigating your way to reach somewhere. When you have to travel a long distance with breaks in between, you plan, isn't it? That, okay,
true.
if I have to travel, say, 1,000 kilometers, I'm going to travel 100, then I'm stopping. Then this is what I'll eat, this is what I'll do, this is where I'll stay. And then take up my journey. I may need a different mode of transportation. You know, I may like take a flight, then take a cab, then take a rickshaw. So that is how every question in maths also has to be planned. You have to think about the steps beforehand.
Okay.
And then execute it. So
Okay.
the answers have to be written in steps. And there has to be a flow to the answers. There's a particular elegance that has to be there. You cannot just get me an answer and expect the examiner to say that, okay, this is the answer. It has to be, you know, you have to present your answer. We don't say we write an answer. We present an answer. How does one do a presentation? You sort of, you know, like a PPT if you're making. What do? You decorate it. That is how your answers also have to be there. So you have to give the basic definitions. You have to write down the theorem you're using. Maybe you have to prove the lemma that you are using in your proofs. And so it has to be very elegant and it has to be complete. It has to be accurate. Yet there has to be a particular flow to the answer.
Okay.
Yes.
As we have also discussed, ma'am, that your sheet is the only interface between you and your examiner.
Absolutely.
Right? So we're talking about steps also. Is there an advantage to mathematics optional students other than the humanities like optional students that they get the steps we are talking about? Right?
Yeah, so the thing is, of course, maths is considered to be very scoring. And that's because if there are several steps that you have to write and you've got 3-4 steps correct, then the examiner is forced to give you marks. You know, if you write all the things that are required.
Exactly.
So I, compared to the other optionals that I'm aware of, can vouch for it that it is next to impossible to get a 10 on 10 in any other
True.
optional answer.
True.
No matter how beautifully you write, no matter how many points you've written, the examiner gives you a 6 or a 7 maximum, you know. In maths, and again I'm saying in comparison to the other optionals that I'm aware of, maths is the only optional where you can get a 10 on 10, you can get a 15 on 15, you can get a 20 on 20.
True.
The key is how. So your accuracy matters. Steps you're writing properly, so that you have to snatch the marks for steps.
True.
This is also correct. This is how does an examiner check an answer which goes on for 3 pages? He or she will have a pen in their hand. If your first step is correct, he has to put a tick. What else? Second is he has to put a tick.
True.
End of 3 pages, if you see all the ticks, how can you cut marks now? Tell me, what have I missed? You know.
Exactly.
So maths, you can get a 20 on 20. And the thrill is to get that 20 on 20, you know.
True.
And no other optional can boast of that. I can assure you that
True.
Sometimes when I'm checking some answer scripts and I'm like, no, I don't want to make students very overconfident, so I have to cut some marks. They don't give me any
chances.
Yeah, they do it so perfectly. Some of them who have learnt the trick of doing well. So I just have to, you know, forced to give you. That's what you have to force the examiner.
Exactly.
You have to get each and every mark allocated to that question. So like this, even if a part of a question or one question, suppose you don't know, that's okay. In the others, you're getting a 20 on 20, 10 on 10, 15 on 15.
True.
Imagine what the marks is going to look like finally. Now, humanities subject, that cannot happen. Even if you write almost a perfect answer, they'll say, oh, you've missed this point. No, your language is not okay. This is not okay. So there is not a lot of, I would say, dependency on language. You don't have to use fancy words. You have to just write simple, let us show this. Now we have shown this. Now we have got the answer.
Yeah.
So very simple and very elegant. I would say this is, it's like simple things, you know. It is very simple to learn this art. But you can get full marks. So.
Definitely, like choosing such a logical subject.
Yes.
You either have a correct answer or a wrong answer. Right?
Yes.
So when you have that correct answer, you'll definitely get those marks allocated to the question.
Yes, but provided, I would like to add, provided you have written the answer which an examiner can read and understand what you have written.
True.
So the presentation together with accuracy will ensure that you get full marks.
Okay.
And yeah, that is the beauty of my subject.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, as we see that it does not have any significant overlapping with GS.
Yes.
But still it could be a kingmaker,
Yes.
right? What exactly is the power of mathematics as an optional that will make sure that it is going to do better than any other optional, as we discussed like in brief earlier?
Right. So Pooja, here I would like to say, in my interaction with so many students, I realized that some students who come from engineering backgrounds or science, or they have a lot of trouble remembering so much information. You know, GS, they have to remember a lot of facts and hours of literally cramming, making short notes, but remembering is the key. So how maths is different, you are right, it doesn't have any overlap with GS. People who like maths they'll resonate with what I'm trying to say, and I hope there are many students who would understand when I say that when you get tired of remembering and cramming, then maths comes to your aid, because it is such a break from the usual kind of study pattern that you have for GS, that once you get down to write it, you're getting answers on your own, you can keep matching, and the syllabus gives you a variety. You can do theory, you can do applications, you can do something simpler. So I would say it doesn't have an overlap with GS as an advantage to students who don't like so much remembering. This subject gives them a break. Secondly, like what I pointed out earlier, is that again, the marking. If you have worked on your accuracy, if you worked on your presentation, there's no way that you're not going to get the
True.
maximum marks allocated to it.
Hmm.
Also, because it's a static syllabus, there's no current affairs,
Hmm.
and there is a limit to how much static syllabus questions. So over the 20 years, if you focus on your previous year questions,
Hmm.
you will see a pattern emerging for almost all topics.
Hmm.
So there has to be a question on simplex method. I can tell it to you right now that
Mhm.
this mains or next mains, or there has to be a question on simplex method.
Hmm.
There has to be a question on, let's say, linear transformation.
Yeah.
There has to be a question on group theory.
Hmm.
How many subjects you can be sure of?
Yes.
Every lecture that I'll take,
Hmm.
end of every 2-3 lectures, there is definitely at least one kind of question that we can focus on,
Hmm.
which we are very sure is going to come in the exam.
Hmm.
So it makes our journey easy, because once you invest the initial 7 months in studying the foundation course,
Hmm.
after that you have to just repeat this. You
Hmm.
don't have to add more to it.
Hmm.
You have to just do the similar kind of questions again and again and again.
Okay. The syllabus is static. The only variation is what you are going to do in
Yeah.
putting up the answers.
Yes, absolutely. And
Hmm.
there are a lot of categories that are repeated in the question
Hmm.
paper. Because like I said, it's a static syllabus.
Hmm.
And in a controlled environment of static syllabus, how many new questions can you make? There has to be questions based on the topics that have been coming, you know.
Hmm.
So it gives, so there have to be questions based on, so out of 3 theorems, for example, Gauss, Green's and Stokes, every year there has to be a question based on these 3.
Okay.
There are only
okay.
3 categories. If
Huh.
you master all these,
Hmm.
not just one, sometimes all the 3 are also coming in the exam.
Oh my
so
God.
50-60 marks you are getting just by quoting these 2-3 things.
Yes, you just
Now
need
how
to go
many,
through
yeah,
PYQs.
yes,
Yeah.
so PYQs have to be complete. Your preparation has to be based on what is the demand of the exam.
Hmm.
You cannot just open any book.
Hmm.
This is not same as teaching in a college, for example.
Hmm.
So your focus has to be on what kind of questions are coming in the exam,
Okay.
and then you have to revolve your preparation around it. You have to understand the core basics,
Hmm.
and then come to the question, and that's it.
Okay.
And just repeat the story again when you're practicing.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, is there any overlapping in, say, section A and section B of paper 1 and paper 2? Is there kind of overlapping?
So there is, I wouldn't say overlapping, but I would say paper 1 and paper 2 are not 2 separate entities.
Okay.
I teach the entire maths portion here, so fortunately I'm aware of the books and the depth that is required. So there is linear algebra in paper 1 and there is modern algebra in paper 2.
Okay.
But both of them have a common word, algebra.
Hmm.
How different can it be? You know, so there's not an overlap, but they are sort of, it's like they're cohesive. You know, it's like they're coherent with each other. You understand one, the other one you can sort of simplify, and you can appreciate the fine nuances of that particular concept. So they're related. Real analysis in one paper, calculus in another. The books are also same. It's very surprising. And there's OD here, PD here. Both of them are differential equations. There's a common book that we follow for it. So paper 1 and paper 2, like I said, are not 2 separate entities. They do not diverge into different directions. They converge together. So there is a parallel between all of them. And I love teaching my subject like that. I don't want to say topic 1, topic 2, topic 13. I like to tell them how topic 1 can be related to topic 2, how topic 2 is related to topic 5, and then come back a full circle. So actually I can weave a thread around all my topics and show you how you could have started with anything and appreciated the other subject slightly better. So it's very interesting how the syllabus is made very, I would say, in a very balanced fashion. And someone who can appreciate the connect between the different topics does not have to worry about the humongous syllabus of this, because it converges to something which boils down to understanding the core fundamentals.
Okay.
Yes.
How is mathematics optional performing? What is success rate if we look at the final results of 2023 or last few years?
Yes, so maths always has been, like you said, it's a technical subject. So, but over the years, its representation among students and liking for the subject is going up for the very reasons that I mentioned. The less cramming, the more working yourself. It's also a very smart choice, because people who are good at it don't have to worry so much about the amount of time and effort that goes into doing it.
True.
So it's been performing very well, especially in the recent few years. It has been doing very well.
All right, ma'am. I'm looking at all the discussion we had till now. Ma'am, guidance is definitely very important,
Yes.
right? And please spill few secrets of what is your unique teaching style that students are going to witness in the classroom when they join this optional program.
Um, Pooja, in the beginning, you'd asked me my teaching and my love for this.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
lot of times when I was being taught
Hmm.
by some of my teachers,
Hmm.
I have learned a lot from them as to how to teach. But more importantly, I've also learned what not to do from my teachers.
Okay.
So there's no secret. The only
Okay.
thing is, you can't come and keep writing on the board
Hmm.
and students are copying. That is not the way to do maths.
Hmm.
You have to stop. You have to pause. Let them say it. Let them think about it.
Hmm.
They have to put on their thinking hats on, and they have to be able to. And the beauty is there is not a unique way of doing a question.
Hmm.
So in my classes, if there are 5 different methods coming up, we'll discuss all 5 of them.
Okay.
Then we'll look at the advantages of doing this method over another,
Hmm.
disadvantage.
Hmm.
If you do 2-3 ways of doing a question, then at least one will stick with you, no?
Hmm. True.
And the one that you will like the best is the one that you have been able to think of.
Hmm.
So when you do it yourself,
Hmm.
the question of forgetting does not come. So I would say the only way maths can actually be done is when you empower the student to do it himself or herself. Having said that, obviously a 2.5 hour, 3 hour lecture, I am teaching.
Hmm.
But what I'm teaching is how students should think.
Okay.
I don't just write down the step. I don't say,
Hmm.
okay, let us now do this. I'm like,
Hmm.
what can we do? Now you suggest. And sometimes if the idea is not okay, what is wrong with this idea? Why should we
Hmm.
consider this equation and not that equation? How will it? Because again, one of my favorite quotes,
Hmm.
there is not always a right or a wrong in maths.
Okay.
There are a lot of dead ends, which
Okay.
means there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but
Hmm.
it's not making you go where you want to go.
Hmm.
So you have to, what do you do when you are driving?
Mhm.
When you're driving and you come at a crossroad,
Hmm.
you take a left or a right or go straight.
Hmm.
But sometimes the road is closed, right? It's
Hmm.
blocked.
Hmm.
What do? You take a
Take a
U-turn.
Hmm.
So in maths also, this step extra that you've done is not helping you. So you come back and think of a different strategy.
Okay.
So these strategies are individual. They
Hmm.
are dependent on what the student is thinking at that point of time. And so with practice and with enough information and with enough guidance, I tell them 5-6 different ways in which it can be thought.
Hmm.
And they very surprisingly zero down on the best strategy. That is
Hmm.
because out of all the 4-5 methods, we discuss what is wrong with this method, what is wrong, what is nice about this method.
Hmm.
So I think the USP is that I don't do their work
Hmm.
on their behalf.
Hmm.
I make them do it. It is more time consuming. It requires a lot of patience. I think one thing that I've learned with my career
Hmm.
is patience. I don't think I lose my cool now for
Hmm.
anything, because students, when they get stuck and you're so tempted to go and correct it for them,
Hmm.
but you have to make sure that they fall and then you make sure that they get up and try again. So I think it's very interesting. So end of 7 months, I can definitely say
Hmm.
I cannot guarantee about the results
Mm.
in terms of whether they, because there's a lot of prelims and GS and contribution of other things, but I can definitely say end of the curriculum, their
Hmm.
love for mathematics is going to multiply
Hmm.
many folds. They're going to revisit their love for maths. Of course there are ups and downs. There'll be some topics that are overwhelming, but then the beauty is when you come out of it,
Hmm.
you appreciate the subject even more. So I can definitely vouch for it that their love for the subject will definitely go up.
So, ma'am, I
yeah.
think your mantra is not only interacting with the students, but let them interact with the questions or the content of the syllabus.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Ma'am, how is Vajiraman Ravi making sure that students who are going to join this mathematics optional program will have their best optional journey through this whole UPSC CSC preparation?
So some of the things that are I think can be very well appreciated in our classes here
Hmm.
is that the interaction with the online students.
Hmm.
So I in the beginning only I make the rules clear that they have to keep their cameras switched on.
True.
Not because I'm interested in looking at them, but because if they keep their cameras on, there is a higher level of interaction that can happen.
Hmm.
So even with the online students, they regularly write their doubts, and there is portal where they can share their doubts.
Hmm.
The beauty is we meet almost every day. It's regular. So there is a lot of what are you getting stuck in will take up the doubts. So maths the USP is that it's not about what I have taught. It is about where you are getting stuck. When you go back home and you're doing my worksheets or you're doing the PYQs, what are your where are your weak areas? We focus on that. This also helps us to identify what your strengths are. So if one can identify their strengths and weaknesses, they can work on their strengths to make them stronger, and they can work on their weaknesses to make them to a level which is required for the exam. So I think that is very different. There's a lot of personal attention that's given, and there is a lot of guidance in terms of what their strategy should be. See, because revision is the key. How many times can one revise? So how do you revise? What is the best way to revise maths? And what to do even after that 7-month program is over. So another of my favorite sentences is, once a student, forever a student. So you have to tell them how to be on your own also after the program gets over. So I, from day one, try to make them as independent as possible. Rather than depend on me, learn how to depend on yourself. That is difficult, but once they learn how to depend on themselves, the fear is gone. They're not scared anymore. And that is the key to success, because then you are fearless, and then you practice, and then your energy levels, your vibes only become very positive, I think. And that is really required in this paper.
Ma'am, just say, if in one statement we have to say how Vajiraman Ravi's optional program is the best one out there, how would we say it?
Well, I would say that, like I said earlier, that your optional is what you're specializing in. So I feel to really appreciate the subject like maths, you need someone who can tell you the fine nuances of the subject, which reflect in your answers. Your answer in maths cannot be copied from the book kind of an answer. You have to have depth of the subject, which I not only have it, but also try to give it to the students. And why should you think in these terms? And so there is a lot of love for the subject, which reflects in their answers and so on. And there's also a lot of attention given to not just the students who are the best performing, but students who have come here for guidance, and they just need a bit of, I think, hand-holding and a little bit of encouragement.
The scaffolding they are looking for.
Yes, there's a lot of there is a lot of encouragement, there's a lot of motivation, and that comes from, sometimes in my classes I also call a student on the board and he or she will solve. So when you see a fellow classmate doing it, you feel more encouraged, because generally students feel that there is line between teacher and student. When your friend is doing it, then you feel more positive. So a lot of assignments students solve, I check it and then I share it with everyone, giving the credit to the student. So that makes them very confident, and that makes them invest in themselves more. So I would say there's a lot of personalized attention and the correct guidance, not just honestly not throwing books and a lot of pages and a lot of information, just giving them the comprised information that's required. The have you seen any maths book? It looks like a
I did ma'am, I did.
They look so thick, and a student cannot open this and understand. So when I give my booklets, they're compressed versions of it, So give them this much and give them this much energy so that they can do anything under the sun. So I think instead of giving them a lot to do, I give them and then tell them that, how to do it themselves. So it makes them more independent, and it's a very satisfying experience. And love for the subject definitely goes up, like I said. So if nothing else, they start enjoying their mathematics, the way it has to be done. And some of the things I've learned in school also, they're not very clear about it. They just did it. But so when I question them, they are foxed that, oh my God, we don't know this. So it's interesting how it is done from grassroots level to the level that is required for UPS.
Okay. Even the fundamentals are going to be clear now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because without fundamentals, I don't think people can do well in a subject like mathematics.
True.
Yes.
So what more advantage do you need? This is like assurance kind of thing that we at Vajiraman Ravi we are providing here. Ma'am, what would be your message to the students who are going to join us in this mathematics optional program? Please convey like few words.
Okay. My message is basically the crux of the entire discussion, and it is that it's a journey in which We are in the same team. I'm like your coach, and um, we'll do it together, but you'll also learn how to do it yourself. And I think it's a very beautiful experience to learn the subject from its core fundamentals to the level that is required to do well in the exam. So you gain more confidence, you are highly motivated, you do not dip in your energies, because you see that there is no remembering, there is no cramming, there is no, you are required to just be present, um, concentrate on the concepts, concentrate on the core fundamentals, and everything else just takes care of its own. It's really a very beautiful way of studying maths, is what I would say. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, it was a great conversation today. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope we were able to debunk all the myths. We were able to clarify all the doubts of the students. And it is such a great pleasure, such an honor to sit with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Pooja.
so much, ma'am, for
Thank you.
joining us. And thank you all for joining us for this session. We will be back with such amazing sessions again and again. Until then, you have to keep just studying. This is the one thing you have to do. Keep studying. Thank you all.